Basically what Ed Mylett is saying in his book, The Power of One, is like the going to the gym is the base to any business. You're gonna be like twice as more productive in your business. You're gonna be much more successful because you're gonna just be on a different level of energy. Your mind and your body is one thing. So imagine that you're neglecting your mind or you're neglecting your body. So what's gonna happen?
What's going on, guys? We have a great show here for you today. We have one of those American dream stories. We have my friend on here. He's a rock star. He's a luxury real estate agent and rock star entrepreneur, but he actually moved here from Moldova 10 years ago. He was working as a waiter and came over here and discovered he was actually an entrepreneur. He went through a couple just fumbles and tripping over his steps a little bit to get here, and he started a few businesses that didn't go probably the best, but it led him to understanding a lot through personal growth and self-development, which we're going to talk about. Law of attraction. He found himself, and through those first businesses, he became a strong entrepreneur and built very successful ones that we're going to talk about. Well, he's one of the top Wolfpack agents here. He's a luxury agent. And let's get Mihai Gutu on the call here, guys, and dig into how he came over here 10 years ago with nothing in his pocket, with just a dream in his mind, and how he's actually living that dream right now. So what's up, man? Glad to get you on the show and excited to hear your story. And I know it's going to motivate and inspire a lot of these up-and-coming agents and entrepreneurs listening to the show today. What's up, man?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Connor, for having me here. Definitely, I would really love to share my story, and hopefully, I can motivate local agents or immigrant agents to take more action and be more productive and just crushing in their business. So yeah, let me go all the way back to the start of my story when I was in back home in Republic of Moldova, freshly graduated from the Moldova State University. I was waiting for an oil company to basically deploy me in Sudan, Kazakhstan, or Iraq as a oil geologist. And the company was kind of recovering after the crisis that happened in 2008. Everything was based on oil, so the company did some big losses. So they were basically giving the jobs to the more experienced workers, more experienced geologists. So I was just basically waiting in line until I will be deployed. When I was waiting, because I basically was in the university for 4 years, just studying this, the oils and how to drill and all that kind of stuff specifically for this. And then I kind of like didn't have a clear picture of what I'm supposed to do because this guy put me on the hold. I'm like, okay, so what do I do now? And then just wandering around, I always wanted to move to United States. I had this dream, and fairly, this was a dream to be in the United States, live here, and I wanted to come in the United States since when I was in my first year in university. The only thing that stopped me from not doing this, it was basically not having the money for the visa and for the travel and for the tickets. So that was like for me at that time, that would be total of like $3,500 to $4,000. Yeah, some people will say this is crazy, like you couldn't do any moves because of that amount. But for me, that was like a big amount. And somehow until I graduated, in that specific situation in my life that company didn't hire me, pushed me to make the move, find the money, and take action towards the stuff that I was thinking it's not possible. So I end up in United States, in Galveston, in 2013 on 17 May. I was in United States. I had $400 left in my pocket, basically, no family or friends, and I just knew intuitively, like I just had that feeling inside of me that everything will work out, everything is going well for me all the time. So it kind of everything started to unfold. I moved to Washington State after living for 6 months in Texas. And then here I started working for a construction company. I was installing windows. Well, not really installing windows, but cutting the openings for the windows so the more experienced workers would come and install those windows. So my job was just basically taking the multi-tool and cutting that opening to make it bigger. You know, we were working. Washington State is a very rainy state, and we were just basically working in the rain. It was pretty cold, and the job was not really paid well. And In the end, I end up that contractor that I was working for, he ended up not paying the whole money that he was supposed to pay me. So basically, my last two paychecks, he just didn't pay me because he figured out that I'm a student and he just took advantage. But anyway, I got to the point that I understood that again that situation made me to move to somewhere else. That I said, okay, this guy is not paying. I have to figure out another way to make money, earn a living. And then a friend of mine proposed to me to get my CDL and start working. So I didn't had second time. I didn't have the money for the classes for CDL and stuff. Total was about $5,000. So I did find again the money. My future wife helped me, and she paid. She was working, and she paid for my studies for the CDL. I took my license. I'm sorry. I took my yeah. It was a license actually. So I took my licenses for CDL, and then I started driving trucks. Then I ended up to buying my own truck, and then having drivers, stuff like that. But I was not really fulfilled, even though I was earning really good money. I was not fulfilled. I was not having the lifestyle that I wanted. I'm pretty active all the time. I was active in the school, in the university. I was going to, sports and gym. And at the trucks, I was not really doing that. I was um, basically just sitting, getting fat, eating unhealthy food. So I was not happy, even I was making good money. So I had to stop that. I had to find out a way. At least for me, this is what I found out about my journey is that every time when you find yourself in a difficult situation, the universe is trying to teach you something and exactly is to push you from that situation. And that situation is a comfort zone that is bad for you. And then you have to always move, always improve, always find something new that is going to make you to get better. If you look back, if I would be not looking for ways how I can find money, starting all the way back in Moldova, right? And saying, oh, that's a big amount for me. I cannot find, I don't want to borrow from anyone. I don't want to be in debt. So if I would be at that stage and not taking risks, even I was good at that situation, at that moment, that would never made me move to United States. And the second time when I found myself in a bad situation when was that contractor not paying me, I could just find another contractor job, but I decided to start something new, and I again pushed myself from that position where I was somehow comfortable, and then again I pushed myself out of the comfort zone when I was driving trucks. So that the push from my comfort zone got me into real estate. So in real estate, my first 2 years were brutal. 2 years, I had two deals basically. That was total about 35 to $40,000 in commission for 2 years. That's very, very little. I was basically spending my savings that I had during my trucking career. 'Cause I had pretty good savings at that time. So, but what I was doing wrong, it was my mindset. I was not producing. I was taking action though. I was very consistent with my posting and social media. So I got to the point that I start looking what I'm doing wrong. what I'm doing wrong in my business because my business was not moving anywhere. And also the fact that, again, it was not with the right mindset. I was looking at other people and comparing myself with other people and thinking that, well, I would never succeed. I was believing that, so I was stuck. I had that wall in front of me that's saying, you don't have any friends here. Well, technically, if you move from a different country in a new country, obviously you're not going to have friends. You're not going to have a big sphere of influence. You're not going to have your relatives around, your brother, sister, cousins that are going to, try to help you in your business, to give you deals, So this is what I was believing, that I am new in the area. Nobody knows me. I don't have really close friends and family that will support my business. That's why I was not producing. I found that out when I was looking back from like the standpoint that I am right now doing, 20 to 30 million in sales volume a year nowadays. And looking back, I was like, oh man, that what was stopping me. It was my mindset. So everything changed. It's just crazy how this works. Everything changed when I watched a old video of Bob Proctor.
Okay.
I think the video was from 1980s or something. One of the first colored video of Bob Proctor, and it was an interview or something. And that captured my attention because I've never heard something like that. And I was always also surprised that nobody talks about this. Nobody talked about. I was 30 years old when I first saw this movie, and I was surprised that I've never heard about this until I was 30. Like, how is this possible? Not on internet, not in school, not from friends or family. And I'm like, hold on, what is this? What is this guy talking about? He was talking about, that you are actually not the physical you. You are something else. You are some sort of energy matter that you have to find yourself. You have to understand first who you are. What are you? And then he was talking about these two books that I found it very, very interesting. So the first book that changed my mindset was The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And then I realized how actually my mind works, what I am, and how important it is to think right, to say right, and to have the right people around you. This is crucial to your mindset, to your level of success, and to your level of happiness. This is what I've discovered lately. So since there, that was first book. Second book was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Very well known books for in for the people that are in sales or are just trying to get better. So I really took these two books to heart, and I started to believe this because at the end of the day, is everything what you believe about. So I did start to listen and read more books about self-developing and about the law of attraction, how it works, how manifestation works. And I actually started to apply it in my life. Um, uh, a lot of my friends stayed back. Well, basically, this is what I found out. Another thing about me and about the law of attraction and in general and about self-development is when you grow, you leave a lot of people behind because they are not willing to step out of their comfort zone. They're criticizing you because you're stepping out of your comfort zone. They don't understand why you're doing this. If you're comfortable, if you're having your securities, they don't understand why are you doing this. And this matter of like not you thinking that you're better than them and you leave them behind, but actually there is something else going on. And this is, you have different stuff that you're interested in. I start being more interested into being aligned, staying more positive, not talking about people, focusing on taking action, not complaining, start going frequently to the gym, understanding that mind and body is one thing, and start working on that. So I got to the point that I left a lot of people behind, and my wife at that point was thinking like, look at what did you do. I mean, she was not really getting the
Yeah.
at the beginning. Right now, she's on board with me. We're both processing the law of attraction. We're both practicing self-suggestion. And but then she was not really believing in this. She's like, what? Now you're just gonna say something and think about this and you're gonna attract this in your life? How is this possible? This sounds like bullshit, like sounds like some
Absolutely.
sort of magician thing type of thing. And but now she was saying back then, sorry to be a little bit like I'm just going too fast, sorry. So, but then she was saying, look, we lost so many friends. What we're gonna do? We have no friends. And it was like, I believe it was like 2019 or something, 2018, when we literally spent our Christmas alone, just me and my wife. We didn't have kids at that time because we didn't have actually people to hang out with because I said, I don't see a vibe with these people. They're interested in something else. And then she was like, we don't have any friends because what you're trying to do. But then later on, I start to attract the right people, the same mindset, and also met some people in real estate that they had the same mindset as me, and I understand looking at those people in real estate that are very successful, they have the same mindset, and looking at me, I'm like, hey, I am thinking about law of attraction. I'm taking this serious and I'm applying this in my life. That means it's 100% true what I'm doing because I'm looking at other people that are doing this very successful. That means this is it. And those people who stayed behind, that are wrong. So since then, this became my lifestyle. I think practicing the law of attraction, it's a lifestyle. So yeah, I got to the point that law of attraction, understanding how the law of attraction works, understanding the law of your mind and what you are changed everything in my business. So I scaled up from 2 deals in 2.5 years, basically, to hitting 35 to 40 deals a year. Right next after I discovered the law of attraction and started applying it in my life. So now I have the question to myself, like, okay, this is working. Everybody should be working. Everybody in sales, every real estate agent that is in the business should practice the law of attraction, no matter what. Well, that's basically it. Sorry, like yeah, go ahead, Connor. If you have any questions, I'll
You
try to
touched on a
comment.
lot. We're going to go into some of this in more detail, but the thing about like your friends, and this is what's important for you guys to understand, they will go away unless you want to stay in the same life that you've always had. And if you guys want a new car, people say, I want a new car. Well, go into your garage and look, there's a car sitting in there. If you sell that car, then there's no car in that garage. Now there's room for something to come in and fill that empty space. And so it's like if you want new clothes, the reason why you don't have new clothes is because when you go into your closet, you have clothes from end to end. You cannot get a new wardrobe unless you get rid of the old one. So if you guys don't like the life that you have and you want to replace it, you need to replace the life that you have. And that goes with the friends, the relationships, and everything involved. So it is something that's going to happen. And a lot of what's going to happen is they're going to push back against you, try to pull you back down towards them. And it's not just that, they see you escaping your comfort zone. They feel that you're forcing them to go into theirs because when you escape the box and let's say you have friends or family, let's say you grew up with two other brothers and sisters and you become successful, what it's doing is it's shining a light on them saying, why are you not doing the same? What are you doing with your life? And that's where it really makes them uncomfortable. So they kind of try to pull you back. But I had a very similar path myself. As you guys know, I stumbled across Napoleon Hill's principles, 17 principles of success that led me to Think and Grow Rich, and then Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn, Earl Nightingale. And this is the exact process I went down. And we can kind of go into this a little bit more in detail. But let's see. How do you want to go about this? So there's different areas in personal education, self-development. So let's start with the body first. This is the most important one. This is the one I worked on first. You heard him say earlier, he was just eating and doing nothing. I let myself get really out of shape. And what that did was it destroyed my self-esteem looking at myself. I didn't have any strong self-image. I didn't respect myself. And then also on top of that, I had low energy levels. And I just had this internal reflection that if I don't like myself, who else is going to like me? Therefore, why even go try to start relationships or start a business? So one of the most pivotal points of my career for business was when I decided to physically change my body and get back in shape when I was like 60, 70 pounds overweight. So how about you've been heavy into fitness. How does that play into your success in business? Do you think you could be as successful as you are right now if you did not take the time to go to the gym? And I get this all the time. People say, I don't have time to go to the gym. And I tell them, you don't have time to not go to the gym. So kind of give your take on all that. And then we'll move into like mindset development and some other parts of kind of the personal development journey.
Yeah, so my background, it was that I was always practicing sports. Back even home when I was in ninth grade, where I made like a mini gym at home. My older brother was frequently going to the gym. He was a power lifter, and this pushed me to basically take action, do something similar. I grew up at the farm and we had a lot of, eggs, milk, meat, stuff like that. So I had plenty of protein to start like actually hitting the gym, not finding excuses. So that was kind of into my genes already to hit the gym. But if I connect the whole success thing with going to the gym is like basically what Ed Mylett is saying in his book, The Power of One, is like, the going to the gym is the base to any business. It basically builds your character because anytime when you are an entrepreneur, you have to be persistent. You have to be consistent. There's going to be a lot of negative things coming towards your way, so you have to be strong so you can either ignore this, not just get broke at your first rock that hits into you, or like, oh my God, I'm gonna start crying about this. No, I mean, this is what you do. It builds your character because this is when you're lifting heavy weights, you have to have a character. Either like you push, it's hard, it's sometimes it's painful, you have like this blood rush and stuff like that. Well, some people will say this is not a really pleasant feeling, right? But again, this feeling, it's not a feeling that is in your comfort zone. So every time when you push weights, you're getting out of your comfort zone because your body, it's a whiner. Technically, you have that inner voice bitch that is talking to you all the time. Why do you have to go to the gym? You have kids, nah, nah, nah. You already look pretty good. Eat this, eat that, nah, nah, nah. You don't have to impress anyone with this. You don't have to post this on Instagram to, impress anyone with this or anything like that. Like a lot of talk, this beach voice is telling you in your head, but you just have to say it. Shut up. This is what I do. This is a part of me. I have to go. I have to do it because this is the base to everything. So just thinking about what are you? Your mind and your body is one thing. So imagine that you're neglecting your mind or you're neglecting your body. So what's going to happen, right? Let's say you have a car, and then the car has many components, has the wheels, have the gas pedals, and the brake pedals, it has the engine. So now imagine that you take care of the whole car, the transmission, the wheels, you doing the alignment, you cleaning inside, but you neglect the engine. You don't change the oil, you don't do the spark plugs, you don't clean the ignition coils and stuff like that. What's going to happen? Well, you're going to eventually get a breakdown. If the whole car looks really shiny and nice, you're going to have a bad car. You're not going to move. So the mind and the body is the same thing. If you're going to neglect one thing or another, it's going to have effect on what you're doing. So if you are successful, let's say real estate agent, you're a successful real estate agent, you are reading books, self-development, you're working on your mindset, you're having deals, but you're not going to the gym. Now, how do you think? Do Can you be more productive by doing the same thing about your mindset and not going to the gym, or go to the gym, work on your body and also work on your mind? Do you think you're going to be more productive? I think it's you're going to be like twice as more productive in your business. You're going to be much more successful because you're gonna just be on a different level of energy. When going to the gym, I just see for myself when it was the lockdown. I didn't go to the gym for like 4.5 months, almost 5 months, even though I was trying to work out a little bit, but at home, with the stuff that I ordered on Amazon, but it was not like the real gym. The gym has a different, level of energy when you step in and you just see other people that are looking good and they're working out and they're pushing, you want to do the same. So, the- I just see how my body was reacting in that short period of time, like 4 or 5 months. I started to have like different kind of like little issues, like my hand would start like hurt, my knee, my neck. I was like feeling like an old dude, like something. Everything was like cranky and stuff like that. And also I was not that persistent. My persistent level, since the point of not going to the gym, my business started going down because going to the gym, you're persistent, you're like, killing that inner bitch voice all the time. Not doing that, the bitch voice gets more power over you. And then it start to tells you and dictates your life more in different areas, right? If you're keeping that voice in check at the gym, that means you're gonna keep that voice in check in any areas of your life. When you're saying, do I have to do this video? Do I have to post this video? Or you're letting that voice to do whatever it wants, and then it start dictating you in the gym first, and then it goes into your, do I should do this video, whatever, this video is not that important, it's not going to bring me any business. So it gives you more, you give it more power by not going to the gym. I don't know if this makes sense to you.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, this is like I try to talk to young men and really everybody, men and women, and I see them, a lot of them lost in life and struggling, trying to figure out how to become more and which direction they go. And ultimately, like it comes from your physical vitality first. If you're not healthy, if you're not strong, if you're not proud about yourself, everything else crumbles around you. It's the foundational starting point, is self-esteem. And self-esteem comes from respecting ourselves and looking at ourselves in the way that we know we were made to be. And when we're a lesser version of ourselves, that's where the lacking of respect for ourselves comes from, and everything falls around us. So if we're trying to attract a girl into our life, but we don't believe ourselves, how will she believe in us? So the first thing you guys need to do is get jacked. Get as strong and as big as you can, because what happens is people will respect you. Men will respect you, women will respect you, and your physical appearance, you have to understand, it's something that can't be purchased. That you can't have a multi-billionaire just go buy a six-pack. They can't just go buy a body. They have to earn it. And if you guys start thinking about things in life and business, on how to represent yourself in the world so that people can see things that you earned, as far as like a body or a business, that's where respect from yourself comes and respect from others comes from, because they know that it wasn't just something that you wrote a check for. It came from sacrifice. So that's the first thing you guys need to understand. Also, like I hear it's like, well, it's hard to go to the gym and it hurts and all this type of stuff. But it's hard, hurts is a life when you're not in your peak condition. Because if you guys are feeling bad about yourself and you go get jacked over the next year or two and you get a six pack, what's going to happen? Life is going to get easier. The people that were treating you poorly and all the guys that are picking on you, they're going to back off now, because now they don't want a problem with you, right? All the girls that were ignoring you now may show some interest in you. People in business and attraction-based business, it's like what we're doing here. We're trying to attract talent. Do you want to attract highly disciplined people that have high performance skills, habits and skill sets, or do you want to attract people that are sitting on a couch doing nothing? And so people of like kind attract people of like kind. So it's not an accident, that Mihai's on here and we all think the same and act the same. And how the Wolfpack organization, we're all kind of like this. We walk out there a bunch of Terminators, right? And this is really where you guys need to start thinking. If you're not getting in shape, this is not about, physical, like we're not talking about like a beauty competition. We're talking about the strength of the body here. But it's very important on that side. Now we touched on the mental side a little bit. Going to the gym increases the mental toughness as well, because you're pushing through adversity. And everything in life comes from two things when we grow: massive repetitions and pushing against resistance. You need both. So if you just go to the gym and you're lifting 1 pound weights, yeah, you're doing repetition, but you're not breaking down so you can rebuild. You have to push past that resistance point, which is what he's talking about here, getting outside the comfort zone. If you guys are doing stuff that's easy, you're not growing. You have to push past that comfort zone and get to where that resistance point is. But once you go do something long enough through enough repetitions and you push against the adversity and that resistance, that's when you break down and growth happens behind the
Hey Connor,
backside
can
of
you hear
breaking
me?
down. And so it's very important to understand that. But
Okay.
as far as the mindset goes, you started going into Bob Proctor, which is really one of the main leaders I followed over my career. What are some like the main things that you kind of picked up from Bob? You obviously the law of attraction, but like the law of vibration, and kind of like what were some of like the original things that really impressed upon you as you started going down that journey and you started looking into Bob as far as how to change your mindset and how you realized you weren't thinking correctly and how you needed to kind of shift that?
So, you know, first of all is the fact that I picked up some laws. I'm still working on understanding all these laws. They're quite some. It takes quite some time to understand them all, like all the right way. Because, for example, I was reading the books a couple of times. For example, The Power of Subconscious Mind or the Think and Grow Rich. Reading them again and again, I discover something new until you master your knowledge. You get better at your knowledge of this. But what Bob exactly taught me is to understand what exactly I am. So the moment I understood who I am, what I am, it just basically changing a lot. So I think the most important lesson from Bob is understanding what is my location in the universe, what am I located here, where I came from, what I am. So if I am, accordingly to what he's saying, is you are energy that it cannot be created or destroyed. You always exist. That means we are all a part of this entire universe. We came from there. We're going there. It's just our consciousness is not going to be present. But for example, going to the human relations is understanding that my friend, my wife, my kids, my friends, they are the same energy like me. So whatever I'm doing to somebody else, good or bad, is like doing to myself because we're all interconnected by this energy flow, the energy vibration. So this is maybe it's not an exact explanation the scientific way, but this is how I understand it and how I perceive all these things. And this is basically what I understood is the karma, and how important it is not to think bad about other people, not wish anybody anything bad. Try to help others regardless who those people are, starting from, your friends, ending with, a stranger on the street, understanding that he's a part of that whole thing too. So who you help, it is just like helping yourself. So basically that's what, stayed in my mind from Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so like he'll go through kind of like a questioning phrase with people. Like if you look at some of the stuff where it's like what are you? And then people's first belief is they see the picture of themselves or an image of themselves. Like who's Mihai? He's going to see a picture of himself and say that's not really what you are. That's your body. And then you say, well, no, really, what are you? What do you think you are? Then people think about their brain. That's not really what they are. So what is the mind? So when you really go into it, what the law of vibration states is everything's moving, nothing stops moving, everything vibrates at all times. Everything's based off energy. And so once you understand that, you understand that your body is a vehicle, but really what's driving it is an energy force. And so how do we get this physical body to move around and manifest things and go, make the phone calls, find a girlfriend, do all this type of stuff, right? So there's a creation energy that comes through us from above us and through us and out into the world, and we decide what we want to do with this energy. So everything's connected. This is the words that we're saying right now to you guys. This is not words if you think about it. This is an energy transference from me to you, and you're perceiving an energy. So the way that we have an internal and external environment bridge each other, so an internal thought process and then the external world, the way that we connect is through transfers of energy. when you hear something, you touch something, you taste something, you smell something. This is all a transfer of energy that's being, processed by your brain and then being felt in your body essentially. So one of the things that really impressed upon me, one of that I learned from Bob Proctor, is the law of polarity. And the law of polarity states there cannot be one without the other. There has to be an up and down. There has to be a left and right, inside, outside, up and down, day and night. There's always an opposite to the other, which is what an electron is. You have a positive and negative side of it, which once again, everything's energy. And so in my career, if some of you guys know my story, I've had everything fall apart, hit rock bottom. And then at that moment, it was the worst moment of my life. But then here later, 10 years later, looking back, it was the best moment of my life, which is the polarity. How can something be the worst and best moment of my life? But it's the perception of how we looked at it. So once you understand that there is a good in every bad and a bad in every good, when bad things come up, you're going to look for what's the good or what's the lesson that I'm learning in this. So when bad things are happening, they're not really happening. There's a win in it, and so you don't get so frustrated with the negatives, and you look for the positive. And so that's one of the big lessons kind of that I learned from Bob. But one of the things that also that I took from, and let's tie this back into Think and Grow Rich, and I got something else I want to ask you, but a lot of people struggle kind of putting all these things together. They're hearing different leaders and different, mindset coaches and different self-development leaders talking about things in different ways. But ultimately, what I've come to the understanding between all the different ones and putting it all together is kind of a three-step process. And I'll tie it back to Think and Grow Rich. Everything starts from an intellectual process, moves to an emotional process, and then manifests into a physical process. So the intellectual side of things, if you do not have an intellectual understanding or concept in the mind, you can't actually have it in the real world. So let's say you wanted a Lamborghini. Well, before that, let's say later you want a Lamborghini. If you don't know what a Lamborghini is right now, you cannot actually want one. So if I went to Mihai and he had never seen a Lamborghini before, I said, do you want a Lamborghini? He's not going to know what it is. There's no intellectual understanding. The intellectual understanding means we have it in the mind, we're thinking about it. And then what do we do when we think about something? We visualize it, okay? So a thought leads to a visualization process, and then we have the possibility to decide if we're emotionally going to involve ourselves in it. So now let's say he sees a Lamborghini drive by. Now he knows what it is. He can see it in his mind. Now he decides, does he have an emotional attachment to it? So if his emotional attachment to it is one which he needs it, not just wants it, he's going to go for it, to the point where he's going to push past risk. So the emotional involvement with whatever you're chasing, a business, a relationship, a goal, if it's not high enough, you will not push past the point of risk, and you will not do the things and stay on it. As the journey gets tough, you're going to back off. So you have to really, that's where your why comes from, the emotional attachment to it. And the final step is, if you stay on that journey long enough through the mental toughness that you develop through your personal education road, you'll have the physical result manifest itself. So when you look back to what Napoleon's famous saying is, which is, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So let really break it down real quick. Whatever the mind can conceive, the intellectual understanding, the intellectual side, right? Whatever the mind can believe, that's the attachment emotionally. If you fully believe it's going to work and you put all your emotion into it, then you can achieve it. You can actually have the physical result. But that's really kind of how I've come to understand most of all these different, leadership trainings, from them kind of pulling it all together in the middle. But that's really where I kind of got that understanding. And I've been doing this now for 10 years. And I truly believe that this is where I got to, because I understand that. Now, that being said, do you want me to take on all that? I just went through it. It's kind of a lot, but you may or may not heard anybody try to tie some of that back to his original saying with the, whatever the mind can believe, or can conceive, believe, and achieve. But that's really kind of what I think he's talking about there, which is kind of where people say, well, you find the secret when you're reading Think and Grow Rich. But so what's your take on all that?
Yeah, you made a good example regarding the Lamborghini, and I had a clear picture of the car that I have right now. It was in my mind for quite some time, and it was also on my whiteboard, exactly described. Well, not exactly with the color, but it was described what type of vehicle, what kind of body, what kind of interior is going to have, what kind of engine is going to have. So I had all these details in my head. I knew all that. So literally, I started manifesting the car that I have right now, I believe, like 6, 7 months ago. That was not, it was possible, but I was not ready for that from different reasons. So I made it happen, and then it just happened. And
Yeah.
and this is crazy actually. You can you can do the same way, not only with cars. You can do that with the the number of how many transactions you're gonna be closing every year. I'm doing this with the transactions. I'm imagining how many transactions. I know exactly the well. Again, it's not like exactly turns out like how it is, but it's pretty close. Let's put it this way. Um, when I'm doing self-suggesting, like every night when I go to bed, I have a certain ritual. In the same way, when I wake up, I have certain rituals that I do. And this is just like a part of me. This is how I am. This is what I do. And my wife knows that. Like, hey, I'm meditating right now. Leave me alone. I'm not. I'm really concentrating on this. So she knows when I'm going to bed, when I'm waking up. Leave me alone. I'm trying to hit that, uh, um, time frame that I can really influence my subconscious mind, right? So, um, when I'm one of the self suggestions that I do is by what date in what year, how many deals I close, what is my sales volume. So I'm working only on one thing, to believe that I can do more. So the moment I make myself to believe that I can do more, it's going to happen. But until now, since I started practicing this, I was pretty close all the time by the end of the year that I'm going to be doing this volume in sales, this many deals. So this is one other way how you can use the law of attraction. Same way as with the cars, you can apply it for multiplying your business, having more deals.
Yeah, it's so complicated but so simple at the same time once you understand. So like he could never be doing 40 deals if he didn't say at one point, I decided I want to become a real estate agent. The intellectual understanding of the thought process. So it all has to be in the mind as far as a thought. So like this wolf on the board behind me, on the wall behind me, could never just shown up on the wall behind me. It actually had to be thought of. I'm going to put something on the wall. I'm going to design a studio. I'm going to do whatever it is. So you have to think about it first, because if you never think about the car that you want, how does it show up in your driveway? So you guys all thought about a Lamborghini probably at one point. It'd be nice to have when you dreamt about it, but you didn't believe you could have it. So you don't ever think about it anymore. And this is very important to understand what I'm saying here. The things that you can have, you need to start thinking about and believing that you can have them, because the reason why you don't have them is you never think about them. So you think everybody else can have these things, or somebody else is special, they can have it. But if you don't even think that you can have it, you'll never take the first step in going and actually getting them. So whatever you want, just sit there and plan out whatever you think as far as your biggest goals. Write them down, put them on your wall, put them in visual form, which we'll talk about what that can do here in a second. But you have to think about it, because otherwise, like that's like trying to show up at a destination without a GPS coordinate. How are you going to show up at your friend's house or a restaurant if there's no GPS coordinate? The thought is the first ending point that you start with, and then you decide if you believe that you can have it, and you or do you want to emotionally involve yourself in it. So this is the next thing I'll kind of bring up here. The belief of the thought is the most important thing, not the reality of the world that we live in. So let's say I, reach out to Mihai and I'm like, unfortunately, this is Officer Steinbrook. Your best friend was just accidentally killed in a car wreck. I'm very sorry to give you this information. The belief of that thought coming in, internal information, external world, now internal processing and intellectual side is what's going to do. He's going to emotionally involve himself in that bad news. He's going to break down. He's going to start crying. He's going to feel bad in his body. He may even roll, lay on the ground. Then I come back and I'm like, this is just a savage joke. Sorry, man. It was just a joke, right? What's that actually mean? It means that the thought triggered the exact same biological or physiological change in the body as if his best friend was actually dead. Now, since they're not dead, that means the reality of the situation was they were fine all along. But just the belief that that happened caused the same physical reaction that he would have if that person was actually dead, because you don't know if they're dead or not. So this is why it's so important. The thoughts that you think and the message that you tell yourself, I don't have money, I can't do this, like you were saying before. He believes that the money's not hindering him. So it's really whatever your belief system is going to dictate whether or not you move forward and take a risk, putting money, time, energy, emotion, anything into the future. So you have to believe in what you're thinking and what you're pursuing. Now, I guess the last part is, I'll add on to that. This is why you write your goals down. And I rarely hear people understand why you're writing goals down. So the reason why we write our goals down is, for one, to keep the intellectual understanding and the focus point of what we want. But what do we do when we think about something? It creates the picture, which now lets us actually be able to paint something on the wall. So when we're writing something down, And pen and paper. Try to think about this real quick. Can you write something that you're not thinking about? It's impossible, right? You cannot write something out, take pen and paper and not think about. So you're thinking while you're writing. And as you're writing that goal, what you're doing is you're writing in word form, describing in picture form what's going to create a picture in the backside of your unconscious mind as an imprint. And this starts the visualization process. So this is why everything comes from a thought. By writing our goals down in word form, we're constantly creating a visualization process in our mind of what we're trying to achieve. But just want to kind of get all that out there before we go into this next part. So how do you so you really big into your goal setting process? I know you're doing like vision boards and vision walls, and kind of give people an idea of some of the things that you do behind the scenes, because it helped me a lot know that other entrepreneurs actually do this. And I remember going to Tony Jerry's house. If some of you guys know who Tony Jerry is, almost like a Tony Robbins. He had this huge vision wall in his basement, and what it did for me was solidify to me that people do this, they're hyper successful, and this is the right practices, and it gave me the confidence to continue on. So I think you sharing what you do will help others kind of feel the same, kind of validate what they're chasing as far as their personal education journey. That was a lot, but
So yeah, so in the background, it's a lot of stuff going on. So my family situation is that I have two little kids. I have two daughters, one 2 years and 5 months, and one 10 months. So also, my family is still back home in Europe. We don't have help. I mean, we get a nanny here and there. But in general, it's just me juggling the business, the kids, uh, the life, basically. And my wife, she's also not staying with the kids. She's having her own business. So basically, she's an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur, and we're juggling in between the two kids. So it's really sometimes it gets really hard to stay positive, to stay aligned all the time. But I believe that actually goes back to your question of what is happening in the background. So in the background has to happen a lot so you can stay positive, aligned, and productive, right? So is you really have to work a lot on your mindset, and this is very crucial when you're in the business and you want to be successful. Is to be persistent with your writings, with your for example, what I carry with me is this. I have this check all the time with me. It's I just made like 4 or 5 checks and I put it everywhere in the house, and I also carry it with me here um, in my pocket, in my wallet, and it's basically, a check from the universe cut me by 2025 or so, and is about, reminding your subconscious all the time about this, all the time about this, is about working constantly on this. It has to be like a mindset. um, Vision boards. So first is having little stuff like, again, another thing that I learned from Bob Proctor is, his goal card that he was carrying in his pocket. I do the
well,
same thing with like trying to do the
look,
same.
I got this one right here. I
Yeah,
got this
there you
one.
go.
So this is one I've been
Exactly.
making for a while. So you can see it's all tattered, folded because I carry it with me. But you can see what I'm
Yep.
saying, that this is our goal to have 10,000 agents. But I've had this one with me and I carry it with me. But that's what he's talking about, and it's written in the same kind of starting process. So happy and grateful now. But I just want to share that because
No,
so
I know
people.
that you're doing this because we had a discussion regarding this, and I know that you're practicing this. So, in a way, that's what I was saying in the beginning of our podcast, that when you are practicing the law of attraction, you are attracting the like-minded people, and this is crazy how it works. The energy attracts the same type of energy. This is how I end up meeting you. This is how I end up meeting Batistas. They're also on the law of attraction. So like you're meeting the people that you're supposed to be around. You have the same vibration. So that's why we have so much stuff in common. So one thing is this. A second thing is the vision board, the whiteboard, whatever. You can put like just regular vision board. You can make it with pictures to be more clear. The cars, the homes, maybe the airplanes that you want to own. Very important to see them every day. And then another one is the suggestions. The suggestions are very important. And also it's about how you can train your mind to reverse the thinking. What I mean by that is when you well, life is life. It gets with whatever it takes, like bad, good, whatever. So when the bad comes, the whole idea, one part of manifestation is to stay in a line all the time. You have to be open to receive that good stuff that is coming from the universe. So you have to stay aligned as much as possible, positive as much as possible. So how you do that when you receive bad news? Like how do you keep yourself attuned to the good vibration when you receive bad news, or you get the results that they're not really good, or the one sale is going away, a big sale, or you get into an accident or whatever. Bad stuff happens in life. So what do you do then? How do you keep yourself aligned? How do you keep yourself in a positive vibration? Well, first of all is understanding that this stuff happens in your life. That's okay. But the moment something bad happens, you have to start looking for the seed, the good seed in the bad that happened. For example, again, going back to Napoleon Hill, when his mom died, I think his biological mom died. He was like 9 years old or something, and he was saying later on in his life, he's like, that was a terrible thing at that moment. It was a tragedy. But later on, his dad married a second time, and his second mom taught him the law of attraction. This is how he discovered everything. This is how he started to being passionate about the law of attraction, and everything started happening in this life. So later on, he was saying, okay, so now looking back at that tragedy that happened with my biological mom, without that happening, I was probably, if my biological mom would be alive, I would never met my second mom that would teach me the law of attraction. So right away, the moment that bad stuff happens, you start to look for the small seed of good in whatever bad is happening in your life. So uh, uh, at least me, I'm trying to focus on that little good and stay and just thinking about that and not thinking the consequences of this bad that is happening to me. So I'm just thinking about that good until the point, because bad situations, they don't last long. They just go away. So as long as they stay focused on the good little seed or that bad situation, I go over that bad situation, and then I understand what exactly the universe was trying to teach me through this, because it's always about learning something from this. So hope this makes sense as well.
And yeah, there's no bad or good situations. It's only how we perceive the situation. And just
Exactly.
like one thing that popped up when you were talking about that was this is how you want to shift your mindset. Like as I'd say, problems little or big come across your plate throughout the day. So I was trying to meet up with some friends the other day, and we were going to go fishing. That's one of my hobbies that I like to do to get outside and kind of clear my mind and get in touch with, who I am and not being stuck in the house all the time around technology. But what was happening was I was trying to get through a red light, and everybody was going super slow, and they could have easily gotten through this light. Man, it was ridiculous. And if they had just gone on the normal speed, I would have made it through the light. Instead, they all took time to go through, and I got stuck where I couldn't go to the intersection. And my first reaction is, oh my gosh, idiots, why are they ruining my day? Blah, blah, slow me down. That's the normal pattern that we've created throughout our lives from being negative and not controlling our thoughts. And in the lifetime moment, because I've been doing this for so long, I'm aware of these thoughts and I catch them and I change them lifetime. So I said, instead of getting frustrated in that moment, and I'm just telling you kind of how the story played out, my thought was, because these people took so long to go through the light, it's changing the destination of my show up time. So I'm going to show up there at a different time, meaning I'm going to show up to the lake at a different time, which means I'm going to cast in the water at a different time. And so now when I catch the giant fish today, or when we have this great day, it was specifically because these people took too long to move through the light. And that's how you can change the thought process from taking what would frustrate you to now keeping your mind in the right frequency or right vibrational pattern, to where now you're not frustrated about it. And that's just like a very small example that popped into my mind. But if you create a habit of doing this, and so like when my poker career disappeared, I was blaming government, government regulation, the poker sites, and all this, when reality was I shifted the thoughts to blaming myself and saying this was my fault because I had made enough money that I could invest this money and never had to work again. So anytime we also take things anytime where our mindset's shifting blame to external environments, this causes depression and negative feelings in our body, because we're not in control. And so if it's the government's fault, poker site's fault, I have no ability to change it. So when it's my fault, I can actually change things. So another thing you can start doing is, to help you become more positive, blame yourself, which sounds crazy, but take more control in, because now when we have control, we think a little bit differently, and now we're starting to think, how can we fix the situation? But when we blame everything around us, we don't even try to fix the situation or change it all, because we're waiting for everything else to change around us. But it's so important what we're talking about here real quick. But maybe let's wrap it up a little bit here, going back into you're talking about, you had night rituals and patterns, and let's talk about like habits here real quick, because this is something that I don't think a lot of people think about when it comes to their educational journey or personal self-development journey. One of the things that happens when you create habits, so like think about right now, like if you were to go get dressed in the morning and you put your shoes on, do you think consciously, you have your conscious thoughts and your unconscious thoughts, or your unconscious mind, do you think, now I have to tie my shoelaces, or do you just do that? So you know you need to put shoes on, you just put them on time. Now what that means is, because of a habit, it's now, because, you know, if you guys understand paradigms, it's a habitual loop, it's a habit. Now, when we have things that we do like morning rituals and evening rituals, or patterns, and we do it enough so that it becomes unconscious, what does this do? It frees up a lot of energy, because when we're having to think about what to do and make decisions and have thoughts to do it, this is a lot of extra taxing on the body, taxing on our energy levels throughout the day. But as we do things through patterns over and over and over, and they become unconscious, that's less energy, less thoughts, you know, and so you're going to feel more empowered every single day. You're not going to run out of your energy levels. I don't think people think about that with like habits and creating some rituals. It's just a part of your day that you don't even have to think about anymore if you wake up and kind of go through the same pattern. But do you want to go into that a little bit, or kind of like
Yeah,
morning
no,
rituals and
definitely. I
evening
think
rituals?
absolutely. The habits are very important. The habits actually makes who you are. You know, it's about the mind is actually very simple because it runs on like recorded stuff. So your habits are just like it's how your mind perceives everything around, and it's just like loops. For example, you do specific things when you see something, right? So boom, your mind finds what you exactly do, and then you have to do the same way. It just, uh, at least this is how I look at it. So it's like good example with tying your shoes. You don't think that how you have to tie your shoes because your mind knows it has the recording how to do that. You just boom, and then you do this automatically. So the more habits, the more good habits you have, the better you're gonna be. That's obvious. The more bad habits you're gonna have, the worse everything is gonna go in your life, business, health wise, relationship, whatever. So at least for me, I have to strive to have better habits so I can be better in every part of my life.
Yeah, I mean, and so like, how do we change a habit? Through repetition and pushing against resistance, right? So like, if you're doing something over, like say smoking all the time, and you want to quit smoking, you have to create a habit of not smoking. The
Yeah.
repetition of going another day with not doing it, another day without doing it, and then the resistance, meaning the will to go back. You know, you're now wanting to go backwards, to go back to the current pattern or current habit that you've already had. And so this is so important to understand, guys, that you cannot get to the next stage of who you are supposed to become if you cannot destroy and replace the current bad habits that you have with better habits in the future. And so you do this by first understanding and awareness of yourself, and taking time to write down, take some alone time. What are my big issues? What are the problems that I have that I need to work on? So now once you've identified them, you're now thinking about them, the intellectual understanding. Now you can create a picture of who you can become. Okay, my bad habits are my eating. Now you're visualizing you're becoming a better, looking better in better physical shape. Now you have the emotional involvement into it, and now you can go out and now you're going to start doing the reps and doing the right things, right? So we have to understand that who we are is a construct of all the thoughts, actions, conversations, good things and bad things that have happened to us throughout our life. They're all in our unconscious mind. So our mind is a creation tool of the future, but a historical record of the past. And all that's sitting back in your unconscious mind. And so we're running on paradigms, right, and habits. So we need to figure out which ones are bad and break them and replace them through repetition. And that comes from self-awareness. So if you guys have not sat down and really audited yourself and where you're at in your life with relationships and health and your business and everything in between, this is something I would really focus on to do first. And pick up Bob Proctor's book, pick up Think and Go Rich. This is the process that worked for both of us on here. But I guess we're running out of time here. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. Is there anything specifically that we haven't gone over that you would want to talk about? Or do you have any good words of advice or wisdom for some of these entrepreneurs listening right now? Anything
Oh,
that
absolutely.
is important to you that you share?
I really want to make like a hold on. Probably you have to cut this part. So I really want to transmit a message to all the real estate agents and all entrepreneurs over there that are interested into growing. Of course, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to be interested into growing. You have to be looking for getting better. So first of all is take the law of attraction serious. Try to read more books about the law of attraction and about the mind, understand better who you are and how you can influence your subconscious mind to grow in every area of your life. And they just basically this is what happened to me. Genuinely, I'm passionate about this. I want to spread this knowledge to everyone that maybe heard or not, but those who specifically heard about the law of attraction and not taken seriously, I can tell you that you're doing a big disfavor to yourself, to your business, to your family, to your health, to your mental state. So take this serious, get the books, move forward. Let's go. Let's take action.
I like it. And one more thing, maybe we'll touch on this. So like, this is very common as well. So that you're going to get hyped up, you're going to start this process, which is what I did. And 100%, that's why I'm here. That's why Mihai's here. But one of the things that happened to me real quick is that I got super hyped up in this personal education, law of attraction, all this stuff right away. And it made me kind of run out super aggressive and take on probably things I shouldn't have. And I almost tripped on myself. And then I had in my mind, I'm just going to manifest this perfect sin where just everything's going to work. It's going to be perfect. And then what happens is it doesn't usually start out that way. It usually gets darker before it gets brighter. And so like what happens is you're going to go out there and you're going to get pushed back, and it's going to challenge your belief system and what you're now trying to apply in life. And it's going to push you to wanting to go back to your current patterns and habits. So it took years for me to kind of battle where I'd get super into it and then I'd back off. I'm wasting my time and in and out. And it took years before I kind of had my breakthrough. But then once it did, everything excelled. And what Napoleon talks about is once the riches start flowing, they flow in abundance. And it's almost like, how could they flow at this rate where it's almost unbelievable. So I'm just verifying for you guys that it's not going to be in the beginning just this quick process. So everything's working. You have to stay with it. I think, Mihai, you can give me your take on this. That's where a lot of people get involved in it, start going down the process, and they get kicked in the face and they back off and they never pursue it after that. And then they say it doesn't work, or it's woo-woo or whatever. It's not, guys. You didn't work the process the right way for long enough, and you backed off as soon as the first adversity came. But what's your kind of take on that? Because I've seen a lot of people start this journey and then back off of it because they doubt it or they don't see the results right away.
Absolutely. Another part why people are not really having seeing results. They're not persistent. Maybe they believe, maybe they understand how this works, but they're not persistent. It's a matter of like just trying and trying and trying and believing. Not everything is going to manifest. This is at least this is how it works for me. Not everything is manifesting because, well, maybe you try to manifest something and when at the time when it came back from the universe to you, you were not aligned. You just bounced that back into the universe. So you never know, but you have to keep trying. You have to keep trying all the time and just sometimes just believe like a child that this is actually going to happen.
Yep. I like that. We'll wrap it up there, guys. But yeah, this is the journey that I can tell you, not just that we both took. I can tell you, I know a lot of successful entrepreneurs. This is the exact process we all go through behind the scenes, guys. So this is hopefully validation, inspiration, and motivation for you guys. So you're on the right path if you're doing it. And if you're not doing this and you haven't even started down this path, this is where you really need to start going down this path. Now, I'm going to put all Mihai's information and his links for everything below. Go make sure to go follow him on Instagram and go check out his channels and everything like that. And then we will get this out, Mihai. And thanks again for coming on here and sharing your story. Coming over here, taking that leap of faith, and coming to a new country all alone is something that I think we all respect and honor. You should be proud of yourself for. And to see where you got to now, and to see that radical transformation, and have somebody tell you this is what he did, this is how it happened. And I would highly recommend taking those words and taking them to heart, and then following behind that same thought process and the actions that he took, so you can replicate that success, because our stories are what motivate others, and also create the stories of others in the future to do the same thing for others. But thanks, man, for coming on here, and have fun. It was a good conversation, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.